Okay.
See, there was her little, okay. We were just talking about how the
Right.
woman
There's
comes
a
on and
delay.
says, recording in progress, but you
Hmm.
guys can actually see us already. So that's why it looks like
So I had
there's
a really
this.
warm smile, and I was just trying to make you feel super invited, even though you couldn't hear me yet. But
Okay, so welcome to episode 9 of Living Out Loud, the podcast for domestic abuse and violence victims, survivors, and their support systems, and really anybody who wants information.
yeah, I think we're going into all different kinds of territories. So I think it's continuing to evolve. So
It's, and evolving is good, people.
mhm.
So I wanted to start this one by saying, okay, it's like a little bit of housekeeping. I swear, like when I look back on these episodes and I'm like, I'm a little sweary, but you know what? That's just part of my charming personality.
Oh, you mean you
Um,
you swear like cussing swear?
where
Okay, I got you,
yes,
got you, got you.
like
Yeah.
and I don't know if people are like, oh, she's got a mouth on her. You know what? Yeah, I have a mouth on me. I do. And if you thought you heard swearing before, you're definitely going to hear it today because this episode and this topic is something that, well, we'll get to that.
Mhm.
So yes, I swear. And I don't know if people are offended by that, but you know what? I'm 51 years old. I haven't lived this long to really kind of worry about what people who are watching me on YouTube think about my language. And
Yeah.
it's going to continue. Um, but I also wanted to mention that swearing is considered a sign of genius.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Did you know that?
Where'd you read that?
I read it in a couple of different places. I will find the resource.
Actually, you know
No.
what? Some of the smartest people I know drop F bombs are really hard. So I might have to jump on that bandwagon. Yeah.
Well, think about it. Think about it. The
Hmm.
F word, fuck, okay. Not to get into a English lesson here. It can be a noun, it can be a verb, it could be an adjective, it could be an adverb.
But I think
So,
that's the whole point, right? Cuss words just break all the rules, so they can do whatever they want.
and if you really know your parts of speech and you really got a handle on it, and if you're using fuck correctly in a number of different ways, I think you're a pretty smart person. Okay, so ah, and that's just me giving myself more license
There you
to
go. Well, fair warning. Now people
fair
know.
warning,
Hmm.
and if you don't like it, you don't have to
Nobody's forcing you to
watch.
listen.
Here we go. We're already starting. So I wanted to start. Okay, this hmm, week's topic is stalking.
Hmm.
Before we really jump in, I wanted to tell a story from high
Hmm.
school. Okay.
Okay.
Spring of my senior year in
Okay.
high school, I go to my locker and there is a letter stuck in it. Okay. So I was like, huh. So, I take it out and it's in an envelope. I open it. It's like 3 to 4 pages long.
Oh, okay.
Take it home. And I'm like, take it home. And I read it. And it is from a boy
Hmm.
in my senior class who was not divulging his name.
Okay.
Not yet.
Hmm.
Right. Not yet. And basically it was like, telling me how he felt about me, telling me about himself.
Hmm.
He had moved here from Boston, so he didn't go K through 12 with us. He was semi newish, I guess.
Hmm.
Great handwriting. Really great handwriting for a guy. And also artistic, like little doodles like in the margins that were like that were actually
I mean,
really
do you
nice.
ever find out if it's a guy? I mean, is it a chick or do you?
So
Oh,
there
okay.
was, oh yeah, there's an ending to this. And so in at one part in this letter, he says, I love your laugh because I've been close enough to you to hear it.
Oh,
And that gave me like
yeah, 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 yeah.
and this is me at 17, right?
Hmm.
Like this is way before I am the genius that I am now. So And so then, okay, so I get this letter. It's like 4 pages long. It might actually still be in my childhood bedroom in my night table at my mom's house. I
Really?
should go look. Well, she kind of tends to throw everything out, but it was there for a while because I didn't throw it out
Okay.
because I thought it was so weird. So then the phone calls start, right? And the hangups.
Oh, okay.
Back in 1990, no cell phones, landline
Yep.
on the kitchen wall. I don't even think we had a cordless phone at that point. My
Yeah.
parents, my parents were late to the party on that one. So phone calls are coming, hang up, hang up, hang up, right? Um, Problem with that being that my dad had a home office, and
Mm-hmm.
so our phone number was also his work phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And we were super cool back then. We had call waiting. So the remember calling anyway. So the phone calls start, right? And so I'm going back, I'm going to school every day thinking, is this guy in a class of mine? Is he in my lunch? Is he in my study hall? Is he in gym? Is he like, I, you're walking around like not, knowing like who this person is, right?
Yeah.
So this is like April of senior year. So I go to the library one night with my friends to study. We
Sure.
actually went to the public library to study, and we stayed for about 2 hours. And I get home, walk in the door, say hi to my mom, whatever. My dad, I think, was traveling for work. I walk in the door and put my bag down, and my doorbell rings.
Mm.
And so I go to the front door and I open it, and there's nobody there, but there's a gift bag there with like
Yeah.
a teddy with a teddy bear in it,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, and then the phone rings.
Mm-hmm.
And I answer the phone and I'm like, hello. And this time he spoke
Mm.
and he said, that was the library.
Oh.
And I was like, how did you, well, stupid me, right? How did you know I was at the library?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the teddy bear? How do you like and then he said, I'm finally going to reveal myself, right? Like the big reveal. And he tells me his name, don't really know him, know who he is,
Okay.
but don't really know him. Knew he had a girlfriend. I can tell you that much that
Okay.
we went to middle school with, but I will divulge that name to you
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
offline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Offline.
Keep it clean.
And so I say to the guy, stop calling me, stop calling me, stop doing whatever it is you're doing, which at this point I didn't even know, but clearly some following was involved.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
and then I just, hang up. And so then 2 months later, I'm at the prom with the worst prom date ever. And I hope she's watching. I'll back
Oh,
that one up.
I
Oh, I'll
think
even put the
mine might have
I'll
went.
even put the name out there, man. We went to middle school with this guy too. You probably remember him. Pain in the ass. Like, seventh grade, he circulated a petition, who hates Ellen Parker? And I was
And you went to
like,
prom with him?
and the petition fucking comes to me in English class. And I'm like, well, I'm not about to answer yes about hating myself. Well, yeah, I'd forgiven him by then. Um,
I don't.
but then just the word, just the word.
It's okay. You didn't have fart spray sprayed on your butt in sixth grade. So you know what? You're doing okay.
Oh my God. So I go to the prom, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in the ladies' room, and the prom when you walked out of the ladies' room, it was kind of like this big open room
Mhm.
that had like seating, whatever, informal seating. And so I walk out of the ladies' room, and he is sitting right there, like waiting for me.
Mhm.
I looked at him and I just walked right back in to
Yeah.
like the prom area. And I never really, like I didn't tell my mom. Like her and I were actually just talking about this 2 months ago, and I brought it up, and she was like, "Why didn't you ever tell me this?" So because I didn't really know what was going on. I
So you had natural red flags like going off even at that age.
didn't even know that. Well, yeah. And so like, when he, like, oh, I've heard your laugh. I've been close enough to you to hear it. Ew,
Mhm.
and the whole like, I'm not divulging my name just yet. You're not mysterious, guy.
Mhm.
Okay. You're
Mhm.
weird. Um, So yeah, so in high school, I had an experience with, I guess you could call it a stalker.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I mean, I don't know, like once he made his move with the letter, right?
mm-hmm.
Putting the letter in my locker, who knows how long before that I had been, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you could never know. And usually when it comes to stalker mentalities, it's a buildup, especially at that age, it's a buildup. So the likelihood that you had been being watched and listened to for a long time prior to that moment is pretty,
Gross. It's
yeah.
gross. Okay, so like I said, I'm pretty revved about this topic. If
All right.
anybody watched a previous episode, I think it was episode number 3 with my sister. Um, my ex-husband put a tracking device on my car when
Mhm.
we were separated and divorcing, and he was arrested for that. And we had court appearances over that. And when the arrest happened, it's an automatic order of protection in New York State.
Okay.
So he was taken from the house, like when he had been arrested in the morning and then I don't know, processed. Like I don't really know, like
Right.
fingerprinted and all that. I think arraigned like that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the police brought him here. 2 policemen brought him here and stood in the doorway while he collected some items
Mm-hmm.
and had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that this is my experience. And one thing I want to point out, and you have so much information about this, and once the tracking device was off the car, I thought it was safe. Okay. And
Yeah.
you're not. And so there was a gap between when it was found and when he was arrested because the detective had to gather, evidence, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still living in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tracking device is off the car. And I worked very close to home and I was obviously freaking out every day. So like on my lunch at work, I would come home and just like lay on my bed for like 20 minutes
Yeah.
and just be like, "Oh," right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I came home one day and this was about a week after the device was found and removed. And I came home one day and I went upstairs and I laid on my bed in my bedroom. And within about 3 minutes, I hear the door slam downstairs and I hear somebody run up the stairs
Mm.
and he just burst like into the bedroom and
Mm.
just looked at me and I said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then of course it dawns. I said, "How did you even know I was here?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep.
shit like that. And
Yep.
so okay. So you and I went back and forth about, well, this kind of like comes a little bit from the end of our last episode because we got into talking about you and Baby Reindeer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for anybody who doesn't know, You and Baby Reindeer are both on Netflix, and they are actually both shows that have a stalking element.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
You is with the main or lead character, Joe. Um, it's well known. I mean, like I said to you, I think I watched 3 episodes of season 1 and then I didn't continue.
Yeah, and I think it was on a different network prior to being on,
It was on Lifetime
which
first.
is real crazy, but okay.
Yeah, and Lifetime didn't want to continue with it.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't, and
Right.
Netflix
They cut
picked
the
it up.
contract. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Probably because they were like, this isn't really our jam.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the scenes are pretty graphic. But okay, so that's You, and there's also Baby Reindeer. And like, so last week I started that segment of like ripped from the headlines,
Right.
like, and there was an article in the Atlantic
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that came out on May 15th. I'm reading that because I have my notes in front of me now, so I'm not like,
Nice.
I know. Only took me 8 weeks to figure that out. And so the title is The Baby Reindeer Mess Was Inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
The hit Netflix show appeals to many of our worst instincts as viewers.
Yeah.
I've never watched this show. And like the conversation that you and I had the other day where people have said to me, have you watched Baby Reindeer? And I was
Yeah,
like, are
I
you
think,
stupid? Like,
people's intentions are good, but it's one thing if, you play clarinet and someone says, hey,
I
did
did
you
play the
see that?
clarinet.
Did you
Not well,
really?
though. Not well. From like fourth grade to ninth grade, I sucked. I never practiced. But
Right,
go
but
ahead.
then if they say, "Oh, you really need to see this movie about this clarinet," and whatever, right? But if you have been stalked, people shouldn't be like, "Well, you really should see Baby Reindeer." My
It's a
mom was,
great
my
show.
mom had dementia, and there
Yeah.
is I love Julianne Moore,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was a movie out about a woman with early onset dementia. I think it was called
Was it
Alice.
the one Alice?
Alice, yeah.
Alice.
And so
Yeah.
somebody says to me, "Oh my God, this is right up your alley. You should watch it." And that was my first experience of going,
Oh my
wow, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. But
Your first experience with people being tone deaf
yeah, but
about
intention was good, right? Intention
right,
was good.
like good intention,
Yeah. Right. If I like fishing, show
misguided.
me Legends of the Fall or so. I don't know, but if
So
yeah.
yeah, so when people say to me, "Oh, have you seen Baby Reindeer?" No, I have not. And I'd like to add, I don't think anybody should be watching this shit. Okay,
Yeah.
because in the article by The Atlantic, they kind of say people miss the point.
Yeah.
Like the audience missed the point.
Mhm. Mhm.
That I had to read up on it because I haven't watched it,
But
right?
it was
So
a very layered look. So
there's a lot going on in it, but
yeah, I
everyone's focused
mean,
on the stalking.
one of the biggest things was um, why he was susceptible to the stalking and how he engaged with it, and that there was this whole other dynamic that happened in his life that made him and get kind of sucked into this woman. And
Right.
I think what they were trying to really um, spotlight was you are more susceptible to getting sucked into those types of personalities if you have a history of trauma. And
Which
I
he
do,
does.
yeah,
Which he does. Yeah.
yes, and I do think that that's the point, unfortunately, that got missed.
Well, so the dangerous thing with this show, like you is based on a book. I think it's a fictional. Maybe Reindeer is based on his life.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just distracted because I'm waiting
Is
on a
that your
flight.
neighbor?
No, it's not my neighbor. No, my wife and daughter are just landed from Barcelona, and
Oh,
everybody's
okay.
safe. Okay.
Okay, good. This
And we know we're all waiting, and everybody's safe.
real life, folks, real life.
Okay.
So yeah, so one of the issues with Baby Reindeer
Yes.
is it's an 8 episode long show. I don't care if I spoil anything for you
Mm-hmm.
people because I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you should be watching it for your own mental health. Um, he, the story is that he is stalked by a woman
Mm-hmm.
that she came into the bar that he worked at and he gave her a cup of tea for free
Mm-hmm.
and she took that as like some kind of overture, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I read the synopsis and apparently she stalks him. Now, this is based and it's all over the place when the show comes based on real events,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like based on.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think people did in this day and age of social media?
They looked for her.
They looked for her and they
Of course they
found
did,
her.
and they found her. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They found the woman. So in the show, her name is Martha, and they found the woman who supposedly is Martha.
Mm-hmm.
And well, yes, she is the woman it was based on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is interesting because I have a question for you for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So this woman, they found her. Of course, did she receive nasty messages and people coming at her? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
she did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so in the show, it says that she's been arrested and stuff. She was never arrested. In
Yeah.
real life, she was never arrested.
Yeah.
So she went on Piers Morgan to talk about this, right? To
Mm-hmm.
say like,
Mm-hmm.
and she is saying, no, with this show, they never asked me if it was okay, to use my whatever. And she is now saying that he was stalking her.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's very interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. It's very interesting. Um, my question was, because the truth lies somewhere in the middle,
Of course.
right? If she did stalk him in real life, not baby reindeer,
Right.
did really stalk him, and he was traumatized by it, but kept in touch with her because it was because of his past trauma. He
Right.
kept in touch. But say she did,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Let's just say she did.
Okay.
Would the attention she's getting now feed whatever, like feed her, like feed this?
Mhm.
It keeps a connection with him, correct?
A huge connection. Yeah.
And isn't that what they look for?
Well, I think we've got a very interesting scenario here. So in the show itself, he does divulge some of his um reciprocity when it comes to stalking. He does tap into that. And I was interested in how he just kind of scratches the surface of that. I think there was
Okay.
more because the minute she retreated, he would seek her out again. So I think that there was some back and forth quite a bit, probably more than he divulged in the show. Um, Now, I don't think we'll ever truly know.
No,
Um,
we won't.
I I have seen the interview with her, and if her personality rings true and stays, if that's who she is, then yes, this victim piece is really going to work for her. Being perceived as the victim in this whole scenario, she'd like that.
Okay. So, baby reindeer. Um, and then and as I was looking up stuff for this episode, um, there seems to be a whole rash of stuff coming out that
Hmm.
has like a stalking element. Um, and so in regards to the show You,
Hmm.
which a lot of people have seen, obviously Penn Badgley is the stalker. He's also a serial killer, murderer, like not
Yeah,
a good
he's a
guy.
bad dude.
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
And any article, any interview you look up with Penn Badgley,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
Whether it's written or it's on like a morning show, because I
Hmm.
watched one he says almost every time, do not romanticize this guy.
Yeah.
Do not think that oh he's troubled or deep and he needs to be fixed. He's still a good guy. He's
Yep.
just the guy's like, no, like,
Mhm.
and then people will tweet to him, to
Mhm.
his
I saw,
Twitter,
yeah, and his
his
responses were just,
responses. His responses are awesome.
yeah,
Like the one lady was like, Joe, kidnap me, please. And he's like, no, thank you. And
yeah,
then or they'll say, like, I loved Pam Badgley and Gossip Girl. I love him even more in this one. I don't know, there's something more to him. And he responded like, more problems, maybe? Like,
yeah. He was
he's like,
really funny.
what are
Yeah,
you not getting? And
yeah.
he does say, he's like, it's tongue in cheek. He's like, but also, this guy should not be adored,
Mm-mm.
right? He's not an enigma.
Well,
He's
and
not,
this is not a new issue, right? I mean, look at the
no.
fascination. I mean, Richard Ramirez, for crying out loud, got married in prison. I mean, it's just, yeah, the glorifying of and often it is that, oh, you're so troubled, it's turned you bad. So
I need to help you,
you couple
right?
that with the savior complex. The person needs to be extra troubled because then they feel even more validated when they're able to kind of break through that shell.
I love how Penn Badgley handles talking about this show,
Mm-hmm.
because he hasn't ever once backed down
Mm-mm.
and said, oh, it's just a character I play. No, he's like, no, 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 no. Like, everyone, y'all, no, like, this is not
Yep.
a guy that you should, think is sexy. Stalking is not sexy. Stalking is not romantic.
Mm-hmm.
And in an article that I read about both Baby Reindeer and you, and it was a I think it was a psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
and she said when we have these shows and they have these stalking elements, for lack of a better phrase or way to
Mm-hmm.
put it, they
Mm-hmm.
show the exciting parts, right? Like the active stalking, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
standing outside the window,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be completely, well, it's not crass because it happened. I mean, in the one episode of You that I watched, he stood across the street from her apartment as she masturbated, and he masturbated outside
Yep.
watching her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I'm sure people find that titillating. It's
Ugh.
not. It's fucking
Mhm.
gross,
Yeah.
everyone. It's not. It's not interesting. It's not mysterious.
It
It's not,
happens and it's
it's
terrifying and it leads to other things. Yes.
it's disgusting. And
Yeah.
so, not that masturbation is disgusting. I'm sorry. Not the
You see how you are,
no,
Ellen? All your Catholic guilt.
no longer a practicing Catholic. So for that very reason. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, so we're really getting into it now. No, but she said they show, I guess, what you would call the sexy part of stalking, right?
Yeah.
Like standing outside the window in the rain, like peering through. And
Yeah.
she's like, and there are so many elements of stalking that they're not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're the person, these are troubled people, folks. Like,
Yes.
and so and Penn Badgley made the comment, and I liked it, and he's completely right. Social media has made stalking easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say and like I think I expressed, I have no social media presence anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I do have a LinkedIn profile. I mean, everybody does. Like the purpose of
Yeah,
that was
that's
great.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, people use that too, trust me. But like, here's my thing. In this day and age, anybody who has reached the age of reason, which I
Mm-hmm.
believe happens at 7,
Mm-hmm.
should have their accounts locked down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People who have their social media accounts completely public,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I really don't. And people who keep it completely public and know that, I mean, Facebook's got privacy settings, people. Like, I'm sure Instagram and
They all do.
Snapchat
Yeah, they all do. Yeah.
do. You know why? Because come on.
Yeah.
And so anybody who has their account still completely public,
Mm-hmm.
I really question. I really do.
Yeah.
Now, either you're completely naive and you think that, or you don't even know, or you never been looked in privacy
There
settings,
is
or
some of that. Yeah. Especially the older population. They don't know.
or
You know,
nothing will ever happen to me or
sure.
whatever. Or you're a complete attention whore
Mm-hmm.
that keeps it open because you want everybody to see this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But with how many stories do you need to hear?
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. About, I mean, God, when these people go on Facebook and they check in at, such and such
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you just draw a map for, say you are being stalked, or say you don't know you're being stalked. Say
Mm-hmm.
it's ex-boyfriend, ex-husband. They say a lot of times, your stalker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's rare that it's a complete stranger.
Right.
It's rare. Why don't you just draw a map for
Yeah.
them, for you to then get to you? Why would you do that? It's like you're
Yeah.
basically giving them the coordinates
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to follow you,
Yeah.
and God knows what else.
Mm-hmm.
See, do you see how worked up I got? Do you see how worked I do? Like, because I just,
The other thing people should do also is, go and check Google yourself, and see what's out there. Because
I'm pretty impressive when I Google myself, I gotta say.
have you got it down to nothing?
Some of my like conference presentations are in there. I'm like, damn, I was good back then.
You're like, look at
But
that.
look at
But
me.
there are websites that will publish your address by public record, that things like that. There's and you can go in there and you can request having them removed, but you need to be on it because they just keep tapping into it. And because they can do basic things like put, public information like your address and stuff like that. But then for a fee, the person can access more info about you. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to bring this up too. And this
Mhm.
this applies to a couple different, well, okay, so
Mhm.
2018,
Yep.
late 2018. I'm separated for almost 2 years, right?
Mhm.
And I'm dating someone,
Mhm.
and he stayed overnight. And I'm up pretty early in the morning, one morning, like 6:45.
Mhm.
And it's still dark out because it was winter-ish. And and I have my blinds up, and I see a car come down my street, and then I see flash go off.
Mhm.
And it was my ex-husband.
Mhm.
And he took a picture of the guy's license plate, which if you go to the DMV and say, I need to know whose car this is, they will say absolutely not.
Right.
But if you go onto a website
Yes.
that exists and says, hey, if I put in someone's license plate number and pay this $1.99 or
Yeah.
$3.99, will I get their records? Yes, you
Mhm.
will. And I'm not here to give out a recipe for people to stalk,
Right.
but this shit needs to stop.
It's not even giving a, it's not that hard to do. All you have to do
Oh,
is put someone's name in and all these websites pop up.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like Spokio and
Yeah.
Lookup,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
even know. But and so when we were talking, so there was a TikToker a couple weeks ago, was in Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
and she's an influencer. What does that mean? Anyway, if you're trying to
Right.
influence
Don't even
me,
start. Don't
if you're
even start.
trying to influence me, forget it. So there was a guy who was a big fan of hers,
Mhm.
um, and started stalking her. And what he did is he found out where she lived,
Yep.
and she lived like in an apartment complex. So he couldn't tell which one was hers. So what he did is he watched all of her TikToks
Yep.
and took note of her background
Mm-hmm.
and like the setup.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to this apartment complex with what the reporter said was like a laser pointer or something, and went through, looked through every window to see which one had the same setup, and found her apartment.
Jeez.
And then he got her address. Okay, he got her address from DMV records because he found her car. He had been following her, like and these, right, and she's a young girl, okay, young to
Yeah.
me, in your 20s, right? And of course, on her TikToks, she's probably saying, where she lives, going here today, going there today,
Yeah. Sure.
didn't take long for him to like find her car, who knows what kind of pictures. So he used her license plate and access driving records, or the DMV
Yep.
in Oklahoma, to get her address.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Now, he never injured her. Okay.
Mhm.
He was arrested, but he was arrested. He like broke her window of her car,
Mhm.
and she like came out and was like, what the heck? And she got it fixed, broken again 2 days later, license plate stolen. They finally came across somebody that the police did that knew him. And one of the things he said is that he knew he was never going to be able to date her.
Mhm.
And because of that, he wanted to punch her in the face.
Mm. Yep. If I can't have you, nobody can. Yep. 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 Yep.
What do you mean if you can't have me? You know what? There is a possibility that, this is going to sound so shitty, I don't want you.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you are acting like this.
Mm-hmm. But it's objectification. I mean, they don't think about really you at all. I mean,
No.
it's not. It's about possession and owning.
It's about the chase,
Yeah.
right? It's the chase. It's getting what I mean, like this is what I need to understand about these people. And this is what you can speak to.
Hmm.
Okay. I sense a distinct detachment from reality.
Hmm.
If someone thinks following you, threatening you, scaring you is going to get you to date them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so
Well, it's like no different
explain
than,
this to me.
so let's use the dog analogy again, because I use this a lot. We know that if you are aggressive with a dog while you are training them, they are less likely to be receptive. Yet people do it, right?
Right.
We know that if you train a dog with consistency and care and affection and positive regard, they will respond better. Do
Okay.
we understand that? Yes, consistency, kindness, all of that um, takes more work and time. Yes. So you've got folks now, that's just being logical, but then you've got folks who are so impulsive and all they see is what they want. And they will not, you'll often see people with these kinds of personalities that obsess and stalk things too, not just people.
Like what kind of things?
Whether they're on the hunt for the perfect stereo system or something, and they'll stalk it and they'll find it and they'll get it and everything, and then they get it and then they move on to the next thing. So kind of
What?
obsessive qualities, where they just they're not satisfied with what they get. They just keep going through the process. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is like one of those like light bulb moments that aha moments that happen to people sometimes.
Uh-huh.
When I was married,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, the fact that you just said that is
Okay.
insane. Well, not insane, just like I said, and on
Yep. Hmm.
any vacation we planned, any new purchase for the house, right? Could be anything. Couch, right?
Hmm.
Lamp, rug, obsessive, 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 constant research,
Hmm.
constantly on the internet,
Yep.
constantly looking things up. I'm talking like, you know, hey, let's get a new couch, right? It's like 4 months later, finally, it's like, okay, this is the one. And I would just be like, and the hell are you doing?
Right.
Like, what are you
Right.
doing? And
Hmm.
it was, I mean, really, we're talking down to like the smallest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it has expanded that thoroughly, and it's that behavior is in every nook and cranny of their brain, it's all consuming. And that's just how they approach everything. Now, do we all kind of go down a rabbit hole and, research something intensely before we make a purchase every once in a while, or want to get the best price? Yes, but the
I
warning
don't.
sign.
I don't. I don't have time for that shit. Like I mean, no, I don't want to get taken, but I don't. I mean, I know what I want.
Yeah.
I'm not impulsive, but I go with tried and truths. Like I just do. Like I'm a Mazda driver. I'm on my fourth Mazda, and
Hmm.
like when I got this one last year, he was like, "Do you want to test drive it?" I was like, "No."
No.
He's like, "Do you care what color it is?" No.
Yeah, but at
Um,
some point you had to do some research about why that was going to be your brand. There.
yeah, but I
So
didn't do it for 2 years
no, no,
before,
no,
like,
no. But I mean, the average person, you're going to find something, and then this is my jam, and I'm good. I don't need to keep,
right.
and that's healthy. That's fine. But the people that are like, oh my gosh, I need to buy a coffee maker, and the whole, because it's the pursuit, right? And it's the hunt. And yes, are there things about that are fun for everybody? Sure, we all like to go to a garage sale and find a deal or whatever. But when it becomes completely all consuming, there's a problem.
That is honestly, that is how it was.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh my God, this is not that hard. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's holy shit, like many subscribe to Consumer Reports, and I was like, oh, like just obsessive behavior, obsessive
Absolutely.
behavior.
Yeah.
Um, that wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
we totally forgot to mention Rebecca Schaefer.
You know what's interesting? You brought that up, and if anybody doesn't remember, she was an actress and back. She was on a sitcom with Pam Dauber, who used to be on Mork and Minnie. And it was called My Sister Sam, right?
Right.
And but I was thinking there were
Yeah.
other. I think one of the now this was the one that changed laws, but boy, there were some big ones we just shoved under the rug. Like, I'm sorry, the dude that tried to assassinate Reagan because of Jodie Foster.
He was John Hinckley Jr. He was in love
Yeah,
with Jodie Foster.
and he was going to, that was going to be his way. He was going to pronounce his love for, the what's his face.
And she was going to swoon
Right.
and be his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
Guy who assassinated John Lennon.
Yep. That was my next. So I think that, and Jodie Foster went super underground after that. But Rebecca Schaefer was the first time that people stuck their heads up and went, wait a second, there needs to be something done here. And they changed. That's when they began to
Right.
change the
So
laws.
for anybody who isn't over the age of 50 probably has no idea who she is. So Rebecca Schaefer, like you said, actress. She starred in that show, My Sister Sam, with Pam Dauber. You probably don't know who she is either. But so what happened was she had a stalker. Okay. It's 1989. She was 21 years old. Guy came to her door. He'd already, I guess she had met him because he went to like an autograph signing,
Yeah.
right? Like, but that was all she knew about this guy, right? She didn't know that he had been following her and watching her and,
Yeah.
all that shit. And she heard a knock on her door and she answered it and he shot her at point blank range.
Yeah. Yeah.
Point blank range. And, because
what happened was too, see, he had actually gone up to that house initially, spoke with her briefly, and she thought, well, that was kind of odd. Okay. But she was a little short with him because she was a little like, and
I don't know you.
I don't know you. And
away.
because she had the audacity to kind of say, no, this is not okay, that's when he came back and shot her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
obviously
want to say, like, and I don't want people to watch this and be afraid to leave their homes.
Right.
That is absolutely not. But this is a problem. Okay. And stats wise, okay, 1 in 3 women have been stalked, 1 in 6 men.
Okay.
I want to know more about that dynamic, because women are, especially young women, are often painted as crazy, love crazed,
Right.
chicks who boy crazy. You've heard all those expressions over the years, right? Boy crazy. Well, it's 1 in 3 women who have been stalked by friends and 1 in 6 men.
Yeah.
So is there an element of, and this is getting pretty deep, right? Like, this is getting pretty deep. And of course, stalking can be anything. Male and female, female and female, male and male, female and male. Okay. We know this. Is there an element of like, I really don't want to totally piss people off, but is there an element of like toxic masculinity at all that factors into stalking? Like an ego-driven alpha male?
Well, let's take the gender out of it. Okay. So let's go back to narcissism, and let's go back to mental illness and objectification and possession. It has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with personalities that decide that when they want something, it's theirs, right? It's not about the other person. It's my needs come first. I want this shiny thing like we talked about before. And if I can't get it, I'm going to keep looking at it and pursuing it until I can find a way to get it. So no, I wouldn't say that at all.
Okay. I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah.
Just because of kind of like societal like stereotypes of,
That's what I think is concerning, because
you know what I'm saying?
if we start marginalizing the people that behave like this, then we're missing the boat. right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and there is, so women are just as dangerous with women. I mean, I have been stalked by women, and I was so clueless that it was even something I didn't even, my ex was stalking me for a while,
Yeah.
and I had no idea she was even capable of that. But then when I looked back at her old behaviors in other relationships, I'm like, I should have saw that coming.
Should have saw
Um,
that coming. Yep.
yeah. And again, with the same mentality of being possessive, I own you, you belong to me, not in the cute sense, but the objectification. And then you got the other piece too. I mean, it's all the same dynamic when you have a personality that is flawed and they believe they own you. That's where the trouble is.
It's disordered, right? I mean,
Yes.
um, it, okay, so and this is something that I guess just my personal experience, that I've kind of cultivated over the years, or have shied away from. You know how things there are sayings that used to kind of be romantic, right? Like you said, you belong to me,
Right.
or you're my everything, or right, like you belong to me, you're my everything. Um, how
Yeah.
am I supposed to live
Live
without
without
you?
you. How am I supposed to live without you? Yeah, that.
I wonder if we can get Michael Bolton on here. Anyway,
I don't think he's busy.
I
Probably.
don't think he's really, I think his schedule is pretty light these
I
days,
think
right?
so.
No, but those phrases now to me are red flags.
And that's so sad.
And it's, and because it shouldn't be all consuming.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be the only reason you're on this earth and you want to
True.
live.
True.
Okay. Nobody should.
No.
That
But it,
is
but
to,
the
I understand
idea,
the romantic sentiment.
yeah, yes,
Doesn't do it
absolutely.
for me.
And the
Doesn't
thing
do it
is,
for me.
it's been so skewed. I mean, those are fleeting moments in someone's life when they're first falling in love with someone, and then, it's a snapshot. But now you can't, well, I mean, can you say anything anymore? All
I don't know. I don't know
yeah,
if you can say anything anymore. And
yeah,
I'm just gonna go on the assumption I'm gonna say shit until I get in trouble.
yeah.
How's that? Does that work?
Yeah. Well, and I
Because
think the reality is we're in a place right now, we're going to offend somebody no matter what we say.
absolutely.
If you decide to take a stand on anything, I can say I believe it's unhealthy for people to be overly possessive and focused on one person.
I'm one person.
But then someone could come
Absolutely.
at me and whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
It
Um,
is unhealthy. It is unhealthy because, and also too, I read in an article that was pertaining to like one of these shows and stalking and whatnot. Um, when you say to someone, you know, you're my everything, you're the reason for my happiness,
mhm.
um, the amount of pressure and responsibility that puts on the other person
Yeah, yeah.
is
So let
huge.
me ask you this though. I
Oh,
see,
okay.
when
You're gonna
you
ask
have,
me something? Oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna ask me
So
something.
let me ask you for,
I'm ready.
so when you have been married for 40 years, right? And, this person is like an extension of you, right?
Yeah,
Do
you
you
pretty
think
much
that's
become the
different?
same person.
Yeah. Do you think that's different to be able to say you're kind of the air I breathe? I mean, is that different than someone who's been together for a few years? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think if someone is in a very long-term relationship, marriage, whatever, and it's 40
Mhm.
years, um, if they are in a relationship where they're a couple but also exist as individuals,
Mhm.
and it's not codependency,
There you go. Right.
it is just enjoying each other
Mhm.
and having a true partnership, but
Mhm.
also allowing each other to be individuals with interests that might not coincide or overlap, and having your own friends and doing things outside of each other,
Mhm.
then that's completely different.
Okay.
That's completely different.
So
And
I
that
think
is what
you just absolutely nailed it, Ellen, because that's what I was thinking. I do believe that kind of bond exists when there are not elements of codependency involved.
Mhm. I agree. And, I think about this sometimes. And I said this to my mom the one day, and she was like, don't do that to yourself. Don't think that way. Don't think that way. Don't think that way. Right. Um, said sometimes I sit and I say to myself,
Self.
so
Yeah.
this is a pretty, like, it's not sad, but it's, sometimes if I'm a little down, it's
Okay.
sad. Absolutely love my kids 100%, even when they're being assholes.
Uh-huh.
Um, they're the kids I was meant to have.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They're the kids
Hmm.
that I was meant to have. That is not a regret. That is not anything. But sometimes I wonder, like, did I disappoint myself? Like, did I let myself down? Because I wound up in a relationship that did not honor me, respect me, value me. If anything, the absolute opposite. And it's a tricky line of thinking, right? It is
Hmm.
a tricky line of thinking. Um, yeah, did I just really fuck myself over? Like, did I spend
Like
all
your
of
like
these,
your
did
trajectory of
I
your life, you mean?
did I miss the boat? Like, was there a
Oh
great
no.
love out there? Was there a great love out there that I missed because, I was, but see, again, like my mom said, she's like, you can't do that to yourself.
Well, I think it goes back,
Everything is the way it's supposed to be, right? Like that's the law
yeah.
of the universe. Everything,
And let's go back to how you just opened this episode. You said, I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. I feel like I have purpose. Isn't purpose funny the way it shows up and all of that? And whenever you're having those feelings, did I miss the boat? Did I screw up my life trajectory or something? Geez, man, you should just come. I mean, really, just look at how all this has happened in your life. How can you say the universe wasn't playing chess with you? You know,
true. Okay. So yes, I did. Before we actually started recording, I said to
you
Katie
did.
that I get so excited about this because I feel like even though I had this shit show, divorce and shit show marriage, it did actually bring me to doing something that has, for me,
Hmm.
great purpose.
Hmm.
Um, like I've said before, I don't care if one person watches this. I don't care if 250,000 people watch this.
Hmm.
If there is one person who is in a situation that hears something that we're saying
Hmm.
and says, that's me, right?
Hmm.
Even if it's just to know someone else is there that's been through it, or if it spurs them to action,
Hmm.
yes,
Yep.
yes. So you're right. And so, like I said, it's only when I'm a little down,
Yeah, but I think
I
that's,
think these things.
yes, and I think that that's absolutely universal for people and who have been in situations where they invested chunks of their lives and then they look back and think, well, what was that for? What happened there? And again, the kids and all of that aside.
Right, of course.
Um, but I think when you move on to your next adventure, whoever that may be or whatever that may be,
Whatever that may be.
those feelings start to subside as well because
It's just,
you're.
it's not like overwhelming. It's not all the time,
Mhm.
right? But it's like we talked about it in other episodes, like in my personal situation where you wake up and go, is this my life? And I mean when I was still with him, like,
Yep.
is this my what happened? But you know what? That is heavy shit. And that is this is why I have a therapist. By the way, everybody should have a therapist. I'm just putting that out there. But like in regards to like stalking. Okay, so stalking to me, and this topic just really, not that it's close to my heart because that makes me sound like I like it. No,
Well,
but it's
it
so,
hits a nerve. Yeah.
it does. Oh, it is such a trigger for me.
Yeah.
It is such a trigger for me. Um, because it's like not romantic. It's not sexy.
No.
It's not. Okay. And these young girls or boys or whatever who might, like we said, like we were talking about like Rebecca Schaefer, it changed the laws, right?
Hmm.
But like my comment to you was like stalking's been going on since the beginning of time,
Oh yeah, it's not new. It's
Romeo and Juliet
yeah.
climbing up her balcony. I mean, she was down with it, but like, she's only 13. What the hell does she know? Some guy was climbing my balcony. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Right.
Getting my BB gun out.
I would say it in Shakespearean speech. Get thee the fucking out of here. But I mean, like, yeah. So it's a disorder.
Unwanted,
It is
pressured attention upon you is not a fun thing. And
unwanted contact.
yeah,
Unwanted.
I'll tell you this real. So before because I got to wrap up here in a minute.
Yeah, we
but,
gotta wrap. We gotta wrap.
So I'm super excited because I haven't even told you yet, but I have a couple guests I think will be really awesome to come and join us. One of my colleagues at work who is also a therapist and wants to talk about the correlations between the military and how that can often, boot camp can look like domestic violence.
Okay.
And he also wants to talk about how that then kind of bleeds into relationships. And then I also have a friend of mine who was in a very, almost a 20-year, very, very controlling relationship with a woman. So I think that that'll give us another perspective of, how similar the dynamics are, but the subtleties can get even more complicated because your women friends are all in there too. So it gets a little crazy. But I wanted to share this, oh no, I forgot. Oh, changing the laws. Yeah, nobody wants that. One of the reasons, when I was younger and I was doing the music scene, there was a moment there where things looked like they were going to get pretty big. And I was already not really comfortable with the attention I was getting. I mean, for me, it was more about making music, not necessarily performing. Performing was about touching people. And now that doesn't sound good. It was about performing. But you know what I mean? Reaching people. It was not about that.
I knew what you meant. Well, listen, I already talked about masturbation. So
That's
like,
right.
I mean,
We're just full circle. But
I started it.
But the whole point being, for me, I found many other ways to connect people and bring people together. That was what my life work was. But that unwanted attention. And I think about, I have so much respect, for people that choose that world. I know for me,
I wouldn't want it.
no. I remember one woman because I couldn't remember her name. I mean, she almost punched me. Yeah, because she had
Excuse you?
Yeah, I had this particular tattoo I had. She had it put on her body, so those kinds of things are really very much out there. But you see, you can look at it from any frame and it's about possession, right? She wanted to own and possess me because of whatever it was that I was channeling. That was her jam,
That she
and
was digging, right?
yeah,
So she
yeah,
wanted to feel that all the time
you got it. So it can be in romantic relationships, it can be in professional relationships, it can be I mean, it's an issue. It lives everywhere. And I think, again, not compartmentalizing how it exists is really important. So if you feel like you're being stalked by someone, but you're like, but they're not romantically interested in me, that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Exactly. They
Mm-hmm.
could be stalking you because of like pure envy, right? Like they
Yes.
want your life. They want to know what's going on with you all the time because they are like living vicariously through you. And what better way than to just keep an eye on you all the time?
So here's one of the things, and I'll just leave with this thought.
Yeah.
People who stalk usually stalk people they've put on some sort of pedestal. So you hit it on envy. Yep. They've put you up here for a little bit. So that if you look at all the different dynamics, your ex had you up here, again, we talk about the shiny things. People who stalk musicians or actors, they put them up here. Right.
Right.
So if
I want that life, right?
Yeah, it's usually the confident and healthy individual that gets stalked and not vice versa, because somebody wants to consume that. I know.
I don't like when you say consume.
Well,
It
that's
always
really
makes
what it
me
is.
think of
They
like,
want it. They don't want to be with you. They want to be you.
oh,
Yeah,
it's like single white female.
a
Remember
little
that
bit.
one?
There is that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was Katie's tip. That was Katie's closing. That was, remember,
There it was.
our new segment,
That's
Katie's
right.
words,
Yep.
Katie's tips.
Yep. Words of
Right.
wisdom.
Well, yet again, that hour flew,
I know.
right?
What are you doing for your Memorial Day weekend, Ellen?
Well, I'm going to my friend's house tomorrow. I was supposed to go to Canada
Mhm.
to our family place, but that just didn't work out because I also teach courses and they start on Tuesday, so I had to get them ready. So it's like,
Mhm.
so I'm going to a friend's house. I was out with Heidi last night. We sent you the
Nice.
picture.
Mhm.
We sent you our picture. And then I think I have a friend coming tonight and staying over with our girls. She
Good.
comes to visit every once in a while. So yeah, it's
Doing the
busy,
fun things. Yep.
doing fun things. Yeah. What about you? Got a
Well,
little
my girls
barbecue?
are coming home, so
Right.
they've been gone. They went on a Mediterranean cruise, Croatia, Greece, blah, 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 all over the places. The pictures don't even look
Awesome.
real. So I'm happy to
Awesome.
have them home. But it's a gardening kind of slave labor kind of weekend. That's
It's a
that's what
beautiful weekend. Well, except
uh-huh.
for yesterday, which was all right. Okay. So closing remarks.
Yes.
All y'all, like if there are people out there that are listening to this who have been stalked or I don't know, are being stalked, you might not know you're being stalked, not to
Right.
instill panic in anyone. Um, just remember you matter, take steps, tell someone there isn't actually a stalking hotline, believe it or not.
No. Yeah.
But there are a couple resources. Spark is one of them, SPARC,
Hmm.
is a resource. But tell somebody.
Yeah.
If you feel uneasy, you tell somebody.
Yep.
Something doesn't seem right.
Stalking is the
And,
beginning of a progression of things that can get worse, so take it seriously
and boundaries. Boundaries.
all the
You want to
time.
block that person? Block that person.
Oh
You wanna
yeah.
block them on your phone, block them on Facebook, block them on, put privacy settings on, like block them.
Yeah. Best way to
Block
engage
them.
is not to engage at all in that behavior. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Don't engage. Okay, well, another stunning
Another
gem.
captivating episode. Another Sunday with Miller's hat on. Man, if
Well,
we're doing
we're
Sunday,
captivated. We're captivated. But yeah, so we'll see everyone next time and stay safe and enjoy this holiday weekend, the
you
rest of
all.
it anyway. All right. Yeah, do
See
something
you,
fun.
friend.
Do something
Okay.
fun. All right. Talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye.
Bye.